is that in the past, a college education was a guarantee to having a high standard of living. Well, now that we turned to a service-oriented economy, it's not, a college education doesn't even have the same meaning that it had in the past, because those jobs that require a college education, there's just not an availability for them like there was in the past. And so they're saying like what they're looking for now is like if you were like a home health care worker or a gardener, or if you're like a nail technician or a beautician, those jobs are the type of jobs that we need, there's some openings for, but those are all low skilled jobs, and those are also jobs that just don't pay a whole lot. So if you're going to a 4-year college and you graduate and you find that you're not able to get a job, but unless you're getting a job as a gardener, then the question is it even worth going to college?
Well, I think that it's almost like people maybe in the future will have to be, more just specifically trained to do something rather than just having like a general education, like a college education.
Right. The other thing the article was talking about too is just the fact that the cost of education is just soaring. So even though we're in a time period of economic decline, college education costs are actually still increasing. So that makes it so why would you go into debt for $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 if you're going to come out and graduate? You're 25, 26 years old when you graduate, or 21, 22, and you're going to get a job only making $30,000 a year. So what's the point?
Yeah, it seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. So it's like the world is a different world today than it was for our parents. And in all the honesty, we're probably the first generation that's actually experiencing a decline in the standard of living. And it seems like, according to this article, unless things change pretty radically, that America, in essence, has reached its peak, and now we're starting somewhat of an economic decline.
Okay. Well, I've got an article here. It's by Dustin Ensinger. This is from August 8th. It's talking about returning labor to American shores. To kind of paraphrase the article, there's companies who are actually moving manufacturing facilities back to the United States. And there's several reasons for that. It's not that it's happening on a widespread basis. They're still claiming in this article that there's more companies actually still, shipping things overseas than coming back. But there's a lot of, actually in this particular article, there was General Electric, Caterpillar, Sleek Audio, NCR, Diagnostic Devices, and Farouk Systems have all moved production back. So for a lot of different reasons, some of it it's shipping costs because of the cost of fuel, and especially if you have large items that require shipping, it costs a lot more to ship. The other thing that they found out is that the quality overseas of what's being built is not as high, and by having the plants in the United States, you can have all your engineers, you can have your company basically have a much quicker turnaround on fixing problems in the production facility. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of reasons, but they're starting to move things back, at least according to this article, that there are some things coming back. Maybe this whole shipping everything for cheap labor, maybe it'll kind of make a full circle and a lot of things will come back.
Right.
Here, I mean, at least maybe some more higher tech things, if nothing else.
And I think that's a good thing, because those are jobs that will pay more. And
it kind of makes sense. I mean, I think that just if you're shipping everything over to a foreign country, there's got to be a lot of language barriers. You don't know who you have really running the production facilities as much as you would if you had them all under your roof.
Right.
And they're all here in the States. So okay. I think it makes sense for a lot of things. Hopefully that's a trend that'll continue.
Yeah, I hope so too, as well. Now I have an article. This comes from the economiccollapseblog.com. And the title is 22 Statistics About America's Coming Pension Crisis That Will Make You Lose Sleep at Night. And I really recommend that you check out this blog. It's called the economiccollapseblog.com. And according to this blog, it states that we're at the beginning stages of the baby boomers about to retire. The first phase, I guess, baby boomer generation includes about 80 million Americans. And our retirement it's not going to be the same as our retirement, as the retirement was for our parents, and that's what this article really talks about. For example,
pensions are underfunded. I know that I've read.
Right.
And Social Security is in a lot of trouble.
Social Security is in a lot of trouble. One of the things it says is that approximately half of all U.S. workers have less than $2,000 saved up for retirement. It also says that found that America's 100 largest corporate pension plans were underfunded by $217 billion. And then another thing it mentions is that Illinois, since we live in Illinois, I thought this was pretty interesting. But our Illinois teachers' retirement system is underfunded by, it says here, by $33.7 billion. So it's 61% underfunded.
I know a lot of people who work for the government or the state. They relied on those pensions. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
I mean,
It says
I'm not
here,
in that situation, but I know a lot of there's a lot of people that are.
Right. It says here,
So,
35% of all Americans over the age of 65 rely almost entirely on Social Security, and this is a time when the Social Security system is being strained. And then also it just mentions that Illinois recently raised its retirement age to 67 and capped the salary in which public pensions are figured. So
and that's why they tell people to get retirement plans, 401ks, IRAs, all that. But you read some of these articles and you realize that it's not that easy for people to fund those plans because everybody's scraping just to get by.
right, exactly. But I check out that blog because it has some really good other articles.
Okay.
And that was one though that caught my eye.
I've got one here. It's an article from Bloomberg, July 29th, from Devin Leonard. This just kind of caught my eye because it says Americans buy iPads while broke in new abnormal economy, and they had some different scenarios. One, basically they're talking about people going to great means to try to save money. In other words, they'll find bargains. They'll buy cheaper stuff. They'll go to the dollar store and load up on essentials. And then on the other hand, they'll turn around and buy like the new iPad when it comes out, and other luxury items, or they'll, again, they'll go to the dollar store and buy towels and toilet paper. But then on the way home, they'll stop and get their $5 Starbucks, because they can't give that up. So people are like still spending money on some luxury items, like Starbucks is doing very well. And on the other hand, they're like scrimping and saving and going and trying to find ways to save money on the other end. So it's kind of a dichotomy of this. I still want my luxuries, but I can't really afford them, so I'm going to try everything in my power so I can find a way to still keep some of those goodies for myself.
Right.
And I guess it makes sense psychologically. There's some things that you're used to you don't want to give up.
Right.
And so you're trying to find ways to cut costs but you still, it's not like you're saving that money, but you're using it for, to kind of what you used to be able to spend it on, I guess.
Right. I think so. To me, though, when I was looking at that article, I thought that it kind of brought home the fact that sometimes we kind of buy into this, I guess, this consumerism or being kind of materialistic. And, if you're really struggling, I'm not even sure if you really need to have an iPod, but we're just kind of trained, like, I guess we've been brought up to always want to have the latest gadget. And it reminded me of this book that I read some years ago. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. And it really, one of the things I liked about that book was it brought home the fact that if you really want to make ends meet, and if you really want to have a comfortable retirement or be the millionaire next door, then you live below your means and you really don't have all those flashy things. There's no need to really have all the latest gadgets. I mean, even if you bought an iPad, I'm sure just like buying an iPhone or anything else, it's going to, the model that you have right now is going to change in a few months anyway. So, and do you really need to have all this stuff?
Well, those are things that are coming up now in the new abnormal economy that this article talks about.
Right.
And those things will get sorted out, I guess, in the long run.
I mean, as long as your house you're not buying an iPad in lieu of paying your house, mortgage.
Yeah, I didn't
your
say
house
that.
is going into foreclosure.
No, I didn't say that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But it was kind of an interesting article.
Right.
Because I can see that happening.
Well, I guess because of time, I think we're pretty much run out of time.
Okay.
So.
I just want to show off my Joe Bonamassa shirt.
Yeah, he's a big Joe Bonamassa
if you
fan.
if you like blues.
Yeah.
Electric blues at its finest.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you hopefully not too much in the distant future.
Right. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay.